Hello, and welcome to Ask the Expert, a space for relaxed, unscripted conversations with bold women who are making an impact. If you're new to my channel, I am the Michelle Olivia. As a transformational life coach and speaker, I am passionate about helping women to step out of the shadows and into their ideal life, a life filled with peace, passion, and purpose every damn day. In each episode of Ask the Expert, I will be sitting down with incredible women to talk about life, leadership, personal growth, and the real stories behind their success. No scripts, no rehearsed answers, just honest conversation. Let's get started. My awesome guest today is Barbara Redner. She is a friend and someone I admire greatly. Barbara, welcome to Ask the Expert.
Thank you very much. You have my heart. I can't there.
Yay. Thank you, ma'am. Before we get started, I would love for you to share with our viewers just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and maybe something about that you're currently excited about right now.
All right. So Barbara Redner, Mary Kay Beauty Consultant. I'm excited that last week was my 18th anniversary with Mary Kay.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that it's the longest I've ever done anything than raise my children. And, we're never done with that. So,
Amen.
So I love what I do. I love impacting women's lives, talking and connecting with women. I have two sons, one that lives less than a mile down the street, they're having their second baby. So I have my second grandbaby the end of April. And then my youngest son lives in Denmark and he's getting married May 2nd.
Oh,
It's a lot going on this spring.
definitely. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Let's go ahead and dive in. Are you ready for our Q&A time?
Let's go. Throw me in the deep end.
For those of you that are new, I will share there is no gotcha questions in the list. And how I choose what I ask is just I pick a random number from 1 to 20. And under the subjects I mentioned earlier, I'll be shooting out questions to our guests and hearing their insights. So, Barbara, your first question is in the arena of personal growth. And the question is, what is something that you had to unlearn to grow?
It's something I'm still working on because I don't think you ever totally finish with your personal growth until you die. Then you're done. And it's that what I offer is valued and important. And also what I know, because I was devalued and came from a negative narcissistic marriage, and what I didn't know, or what I was told I didn't know. And so now I know what I know, and I knew it then, but I didn't know that I knew it. And so I'm at when I know what I know. And so I'm still working on sharing my Mary Kay business, that people really do want what I offer. And so that's where I am.
I love it. It is amazing how as we grow that confidence definitely takes a shift.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of unpiling along the way because I had just gotten buried and had to really figure out who I was.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing that. Our next question is in the arena of business and leadership. In your opinion, what separates good leaders from great ones?
Great leaders listen to those who are following and take their input. And not only they may not have the right answer, or their suggestion may not be the right thing, but I think good leaders do listen and evaluate what they have to say. It may be the right answer, and it may be, or a different perspective that you don't realize. So to me, a good leader will listen to what someone has to say. They either agree, disagree, agree to do it, or don't agree to do it. But I think when a great leader doesn't listen, they're not a great leader has to listen to different opinions.
In a follow-up to that, I love that. But when you're talking about the listening, is there another characteristic of a great leader that pops into your mind?
I think a great leader has to be empathetic, They have to understand, if it's in a business, if it's in a networking, it's however, your life, your personal life is going to filter into that. And if someone is off, example, I went into an office where I was doing some part-time work and they said, "How are you today?" And I went, "I'm good." And another one said, "How are you doing today?" I said, "I'm good." And they went, "Well, you're not. So what's going on?" And cared about what was going on. And that's when, they were able to realize that answer wasn't authentic. It was just "I'm fine." Fine is a horrible answer. When "I'm fine," that to me is a red flag that they're not fine. But yeah, if I would have said that in some organizations, "I'm good," they would have gone, "Okay, so here's the next thing to do."
Yeah.
So
True listening takes a little bit more than just hearing.
Right.
That is something that is definitely learned over time. Your next question is in the arena of life lessons, which we all have plenty of. What do you know now that you wish you knew at 25?
Well, at 25, I'd already been married for 4 years. So I'm going to back that up.
Okay, let's say 20.
Let's say 20. Just because I had agreed to get married didn't mean that I needed to follow through. I don't regret my life at all. I've got great kids, all of that. But getting married at 21, now granted, 1982, that was a different time. It was a different space. And I was in Alabama, which is a whole different culture. I got married because it was what I was supposed to do that was the next thing I was supposed to do. I'm not saying I didn't love him. I'm not saying I wouldn't have married him later, but I would have explored who I was. I didn't live alone until I got divorced at 50.
That makes two of us. I did not either. I moved right from my father's house to my first husband's house, and I know quite a few women in our arena that can identify with that sentiment.
Yeah.
Falling along that, I don't know if this is going to follow the same lines, but the next subject is relationships. And your question is, how do you maintain meaningful relationships as life gets busy?
People can always make time for what's important. Busy is something we think is a bragging right when it's not. Are you being busy or are you being productive? And granted, I'm a stay-at-home mom or a working mom with 4 kids going to 4 different events. Been there. I only had 2, but I've been there and I've done that. And yeah, things do get crazy. But if it's something that's important to you, you'll find the time for it. I find time for my girlfriends. I find time to spend with my son and my granddaughter, down the street. I make time to go see my son in Denmark. It's important. It may not be. And when you do have that time, use it productively. Now, when I'm with a 21-month-old, productive is getting on and off the floor semi-gracefully, to play with whatever. My youngest son in Denmark, we're having more deep conversations because he's realized, he's 34, he's realized that we both had we experienced the same event, but we saw it from 2 different directions, from 2 different points of view. And how did you take that? And how did I take that? This is what I saw. And we're having just deeper conversations, and it's very exciting. He asked me, because I was blessed to have been a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. And he said, "What did you like about being a mom?" I went, well, there's a question that's gonna.
That is.
Yeah, I think I could write a book on that. I summarized it as best I could. The best part about being a mom was watching my kids grow up and wanting them to have joy in their lives and peace and calm and experiences, and just watching them run on a soccer field or sitting in a car, as I reminded my son, sitting in a car on the streets of DC while he and his best friend were in a synagogue that had been turned into a concert venue, while sitting in the street for 3 hours while he's in the concert, as a high schooler. you know I'm sure it was a long, agonizing 3 hours, but I look back on it and what a blessing it was to be able to have done that for him.
Motherhood definitely gives you a shift in perspective. I know for me, and others may identify, before I became a mother, I was very self-centered when it came to joy and when it came to what I enjoyed. And once I had my children, I received so much joy just from watching the littlest things that would give them joy. So definitely identify with that one.
I remember being an arrogant 24, 25-year-old, annoyed that the women that I worked with at the bank would take a day off because their kid was sick. It was like, I don't get to do that. Okay. That's the last thing a mother wants to do.
Yes.
But as an arrogant 25, 24, 25, however old I was, it was like, I kind of go, probably shouldn't have said that out loud to other people, but.
We live and we learn.
Exactly.
All right, let's have a little fun. What is the most spontaneous thing you have ever done?
The thing that pops into my head first, I was with a girlfriend at the Norfolk Botanical Gardens, and they have this huge pile of sand that kids play on. And they had a tunnel slide. And as I looked at my friend, I went, oh, that looks like fun. She said, then go do it. Oh, my butt was so wet and I fell out the bottom. It was like, it's kind of fun to be a kid again and do silly things.
Isn't it? Okay, we're not going to talk about it more on the recording, but when we're done, we need to plan what our next spontaneous thing is going to be.
There we go.
All right, let's talk some reflections. What decision are you most grateful for and why?
I am most grateful for starting my Mary Kay business. I had been a customer for 11 years and it's like, just give me my products. I used to email my consultant at night so she would leave it at the door and I didn't have to talk to her. Because there was drama going on at home and I didn't have room for a relationship. I didn't have room for it. I just wanted my products. But life changed in that I went and worked for a Cadillac driving director, very busy woman, 6-figure income. And I was her office assistant. And I got to see really what Mary Kay offered. And it was not what I thought it was. It was women who truly cared about other women who wanted to open themselves up to something else. So yes, do I make money in Mary Kay? Yes, but what keeps me here are the girlfriends and the faith and the personal growth. And because of that, I think I was able to make the decision that I wasn't going to live this married life anymore. I wasn't going to do this anymore. And I think it was because of seeing other powerful women who had made decisions that I went, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. And so,
I'm so sorry. Finish your thought.
I said, I don't know if I would have had the strength, the courage, or I don't know how long I would have stayed in my marriage if Mary Kay had not come into my life. A short story. Went to my very first Mary Kay event, corporate event, like a week after I joined. And this woman was on stage and she was talking. She's a national sales director. I have no idea who she was, but she said she went broke by her husband's addiction, that he used all their money. Now, no one in that audience knew. And I sat there. My ex-husband was an online gambler. We were thousands of dollars in debt, credit card debt, thousands, like over 100. But no one knew because I wasn't going to tell them. And when I saw that woman say that, I went, I'm not alone. Somebody else knows what I've gone through or going through. And it really was it was very eye-opening that you can recover and grow and have a great life. And on that note, I have a very stable, great life. Do I make the kind of money my ex-husband makes? No, I don't care. My life, I would rather have my 8-year-old car, my little tiny house, and peace in my heart than all the stuff and the labels and the logos. And I don't need that. I want a happy family, a happy life, and money to travel to see my kid in Denmark.
Joy is truly priceless.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this or if I've ever shared it with you, but I was a Mary Kay consultant many moons ago. And I became a consultant when I was 18 years old.
Ooh.
And my director, who's now a national, she might even be an emeritus by now, Pamela Fortenberry.
Yep.
Changed my life. Take the business completely aside, put the products on the side. Just being in front of another positive, upbeat, confident woman at that stage in my life changed my path completely. So I can definitely understand with what identify what you're saying right now.
That's, and that's what I want to grow. I want to help women in whatever stage they're at, to let them know, okay, yes, Mary Kay sells a product. I got that, but it's such a small part. To me, it's the key to open the door, to expose them to possibility, to dreaming. I hadn't dreamed in forever. And, I remember saying one day, and I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but what the heck? I said to him one day, what are our goals for this year? And he said, I have worked my entire life for goals. I'm done with it. And I thought, a goal doesn't have to be a business. Where are we going? Where are we going on vacation? What are we going to do next? A goal doesn't have to be business related. It can be anything. How can we get our kids to here? How can we do this? It can, yeah. I don't ever think you quit dreaming and having goals, and again, until you're on your deathbed.
Amen to that. I sure hope not, because I want to keep going with them.
Yep.
All right. Our last subject is turning points. And your question is, what challenge forced you to become stronger?
Making that decision when I remember saying, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore, to my husband. And then it was like, now I got to make decisions. Now I have to work with an attorney, find an attorney, work with an attorney to make sure. I've been married 28 years. So there was a lot. As I told him, we were dissolving a business relationship, and I needed to make sure I was taken care of. And for me to stand in front and say, no, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm drawing the line. That was like a major point in my life. I'm not saying I didn't shut the door and slide down the wall sobbing, asking God why, but it was like, yeah, standing up for me and what I want. And like I said, that I knew what I knew. Awesome. And at that moment, that was the end of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Barbara, thank you so much for being here today.
That went fast.
It did go fast. You do have one more question. I have a closing question that's going to be asked of every guest on Ask the Expert. But the closing question is, what does living with peace, passion, and purpose mean to you?
The simplest way I can say it is being able to sit in my house in the silence and not be caught up in fear, worry. I work from home a lot. There is nothing on in my house. I enjoy the silence. People think it's very strange. I go on vacations by myself. They go, but you live at home alone. Yeah, but it's different when you go sit on the front porch of an Airbnb somewhere else and just sit there. You know, I could just sit and watch the world, and that's what peace means to me. Just, I think if I lived in my car, I probably would have some anxiety because I was living in my car. But for the most, as long as I chose where I was living,
Mhm.
I have peace over that. And I have peace and control over that.
That is awesome. And that is a wonderful way to close out this edition of Ask the Expert. As always, to my audience, thank you so much for being here. I am not one of those like and subscribe people. If you do it, great. If you don't, that's cool too. I really just want you to come back and watch another episode and learn what you can from our guest here on Ask the Expert. Until next time, keep living with peace, passion, and purpose every damn day. Bye, y'all.